And we are alive. Welcome to Tonight in America. I'm your host, Dontarius Jones. Welcome to tonight's show. We have an exciting one for you. We have a very big show. Got a lot of things to discuss tonight. So, sorry it took me a little minute, everyone. A little flash from me late as usual. Get the tie together, suit together. The stream, I don't know what happened. I'm having a lot of trouble with OBS and Streamlabs. I mean, not Streamlabs, but Restream. And my original stream had went down, so I post up another link to my new stream. So let me go ahead and share that to my socials right quick. Apologize about that. I don't know what the hell's going on with this stream as of late. So updating that. This crap, bruh. I swear. I swear I'm about to hire somebody for this crap, bro. I wish I could just hire somebody. All right. Let me delete that. All right. That should be do it. That should do it. All right. So stream's fixed. All right. Oh, bruh. Oh, stupid crap. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm at the probably buy the internet cord and just plug it into my PC because apparently that's the only way I can get this thing to fucking work. I don't know what the hell's going on. It hasn't been giving me this much trouble lately. Usually my past streams I have no issue except for my past three, a lot of audio issue. But of course, fix that now. So I up the bit rate a little bit. Excuse me. So that should do it. Yeah, but I want to welcome everyone to the stream tonight. Featured stories tonight. We are talking about the Ukrainian refugee that was stabbed to death by a foul, vicious animal. And then our second story, talking about the terrorist attack that happened in Israel. That one right there is kind of like a well, you punch at us and we punch right back situation in Israel. So I will go over that and some more. But let's go ahead and just jump right on into it. No stories right now about what's going on in my personal life today. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So as you can see, this is from the New York Post. One of the first mainstream news websites to post up about this story, besides Axios, which downplayed the entire situation and they just wanted to go at the right or MAGA movement and say that, hey, everyone's blowing a simple stabbing out of proportion, but it's the violence and brutality of the stabbing that people have an issue with. And I did cover this yesterday, actually, on my other stream, which I was supposed to be talking about politics. We had a true crime first episode, but the stream cut out midway. I couldn't get it to work afterwards, and I, of course, had to just say, fuck it. I just went to sleep afterwards. I apologize. I'm probably gonna finish the second half of that on next Sunday when I do true crime again, and this time I will finish that stream, and then I will also cover a new case too as well. So I'll give you like a double whammy. I'll finish the first one off, and then I'll just start into the next one to make it up for yesterday's technical difficulties. Like I said, I apologize. I'll try to fix it next time. It's again one man show, only guy doing this stuff, so I have no one else here working with me. So please forgive me. Anywho, we're gonna jump right into this right quick. So this, I like I said, I covered this yesterday, and I showed the video on air. Benny Johnson had covered this. He played a more sensitive version because I don't want to play the actual video from X because it shows the blood dripping off the knife of this vile animal stabbing, and then I had a very like emotional, not even emotional, passionate rant the other day about black crime and how it's gotten so bad and like how it's just affects everyone. It's a universal problem to the point where people just don't want to be around black people no more, and to the point where we're just not a serious country because we don't enforce our laws. And they don't even understand. It's like, bro, this has just gotten out of hand right now, and a lot of these fucking disgusting judges, mayors, governors, senators, all these people that are at fault really for a lot of these fucking disgusting criminals get back on the streets. Because it's always blamed on the mental health issues. You got your black leaders like Umar Johnson, fucking Charlemagne the God, Tariq Nasheed, that always says, well, no, we don't need the police. We don't need to police the community. We need to help the community. We need to give the community more resources. We don't need to police the community. Yeah, that's the problem. If we don't police the community, this is what happens. This is exactly what happens when you don't forcefully police the community. You deal with stabbings. People get killed. And this is just like, it's the fact that this was a refugee that escaped a war-torn zone to come to an American city that didn't know anything about as much black crime because there's very little, there's no black people at all in Ukraine. She comes to America and she's just sitting on a train, got off of her 9 to 5 job, and she wasn't expected to be stabbed in the back by some fucking repeated violent felon who was let out of jail. I mean, I'm being very nice with my words when I say felon. This guy was an animal. This is an animal. This is a vile, disgusting, not fit for a civilized society animal that did this. The deranged homeless man charged with butchering a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee on a Charlotte train was free on cashless bail after a magistrate released him with just a written promise to show up for court, despite a nearly 2 decade history of violence and mental illness. D. Carlos Brown Jr., 34, was arrested at least 14 times in North Carolina for crimes ranging from assault, firearms, possession to felony robbery and larceny dating back to 2007. This guy is a career criminal and yet he was still roaming around the street. This guy should have never even been let out. This guy should have never been let out. He should have never even been roaming around. And the crazy thing about it, they let this guy roam around. His own mother told, as it says right here, his own mother told local TV stations WSOC that her son was schizophrenic and should have never been allowed to roam the streets. Why was he allowed outside the streets roaming in the first place? And this is the crazy part. I just found out more information about this. So where this happened at the bus area, where this Ukrainian woman who, like I said, just got off her 9 to 5 job where she was stabbed at, didn't have has little to no crime at all. And this happened in the area where there was no crime, little to no crime at all. And it's who is it? And who is it? It's always the usual suspects. Always. Like, what are we doing anymore? Are we really a serious country, or we just allowing this to keep going on? This guy right here, 14 times arrested, and yet he was let out because of a black judge. And then the mayor wanted to cover this up and said and wanted this to not be shown on national television. Well, guess what? It's shown on national television. The whole world is reacting to this on X. You know who's infuriated? White people are infuriated because of this stuff. This is literally a hate crime against whites because what this guy says, yeah, I got that white girl. That's what he's whispering to himself. This supposed mentally ill schizophrenic is literally whispering that he just murdered somebody because of their skin color. This is a racial issue. This should be dubbed a hate crime. Oh, because he's white, he's not gonna be. Because he's a refugee, white, you refugee. But no. Roles reverse. If this was a fucking, if this was a reverse, if this was a black woman and a white guy that stabbed her, you know who would have showed up? BLM, Black Lives Matter, would have showed up. Charlemagne the God would have made a big fuss about it. Dr. Umar Johnson, Tariq Nasheed, everyone you know, all your black leaders, whatever, would have showed up and made a big fuss about this. You know why? Because it doesn't fit the narrative right now. This crime right here doesn't fit their narrative. Roles reversed, then it definitely fits their narrative. When is accountability ever going to be a thing? Serious accountability. There's always so much pridefulness in the black race that no one can never be held accountable for anything. And people like me, myself, I have to deal with the shit too as well. No, I'm not as dark as this fucking dude. I still am partially black. Of course, I'm black, whatever. Partially, whatever, black, whatever, mix. I am mixed. That's what I identify as. Just literally look at my skin color. But I still have to deal with the bullshit, the ramifications of what this looks like. And people say that this woman wasn't. This woman shouldn't have been in the. She should. First off, she should have never sat in front of a black guy. I definitely would have told her that you don't sit in front of a black guy. You sit away from him, because in this instance, this would have saved her life from not being stabbed, and she would have been alive. As a matter of fact, if she saw him right there, she should have just went the other way. This is just disheartening that the fact this happened. This needs to be called out. This is a problem. This needs to stop. When is enough? You know, this promoting of just like being rebellious against crime, this it's racist to go into neighborhoods like the blacks neighborhoods and arrest the criminals, to stand there and police and actually do your job and actually stop crime from happening before it happens. This is this is just it's crazy to me. We keep allowing this to happen. I genuinely don't understand. Like, what more does it take? But no, 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 no. It's always like, oh, I'm pretty sure they look at this type of case and then they realize it's like, oh, what about the mass shootings between white people? What about the pillow fight between white people? How about you first you look at your own fucking community and realize what the fuck is going on and stop complaining about everyone else for once. It's always someone else's fault. First is the CIA drops drugs in the community. Then it's about the lack of opportunity. Then it's about like, oh well, they had an advantage. I never had an advantage. Then it's about like, oh well, he had extra help in school and I didn't. I didn't. It's about, oh, I want to go to school and I don't care about learning. I don't care what the teachers got to teach me. I don't need him. He doesn't understand my struggle. You know, it's X, Y, and Z of why stuff is happening, and then they wonder why the problems aren't getting fixed. This woman right here would have still been alive right now if, for one, the laws were enforced and people wouldn't be scared of being dubbed racist because a community cannot hold their own accountable. Oh, we was kings. We invented everything. Everyone got everything from us. Our infrastructure was built because of us. Yeah, cut. Yeah, cut. That's the type of shit they say. And then this is the type of stuff that happens because of it. This woman lost her life, and all she was doing was just trying to have a regular life, trying to enjoy peace in America, away from a war zone of hearing bombs every day, seeing her fellow countrymen die for a fruitless war that shouldn't even be going on. And yet she comes here to America and she's stabbed on a train just by some disgusting scumbag, some dirtbag that shouldn't even be around. This is just completely sick. When is enough is enough? You know, you got 15% of the population commit majority of the crimes. Like 50 to 80% of the crimes are committed by 50% of the population. And then if you want to take away the black males from the white women, I mean, from the black males from the black women, there's like what 5% committed majority of the crimes. What is going on, man? This we gotta really have a really big discussion right now about like what needs to happen in America. And people wonder why when I said before, and when I was talking about like El Salvador, when I was talking about my doing my stream about Trump wanting to militarize police departments to help battle crime and get crime under control in cities. And I brought up the example of El Salvador, how they did that over there, where they just arrested all the criminals and locked them up and literally wiped out crime in their country. Their country is beautiful now because they did that. And people think, impending on rights, oh, we're a democracy, oh, we're a free country. It's not as un-American to do this, un-American to do that, and yet the people that say that really literally are advocating for more of this. This is what you get when you give it a democracy. This is what you get when you get a free country. This is what you get with an unpoliced state. This is what you get right here: anarchy, lawlessness, zero order, mayhem, just sick, disgusting brutality. This is what you get. And there needs to be some type of level of accountability. There needs to be some type of level of order. And people wonder why they call them for like, oh, they want segregation back. I see why. You can't. It's almost afraid to walk in the streets. It's almost like people have to just automatically just stereotype. Like they have to just like automatically discriminate to save their life. Because, matter of fact, they have to at this point because you don't want to die. If you see two black guys walking down the street, you're gonna want to cross the street. I would too. It's late at night. You don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, and the next thing you know, you don't want to lose your life in the process because shit like this is just gonna keep happening. The crazy thing about it, before I always hear when I used to always give this type of criticism, you know what they would say is like, "Oh, we're you're black." I know, dumbass. Partly, but I know. And you do realize I have to deal with the consequences that you fuckers have to deal with too as well because you dumbasses keep fucking up for everybody else. We have the problems we have right now in America because we got one race committing majority of the violent crimes, and then they say all statistics are racist against black people. You can literally turn on your 5 o'clock channel news every day, local channel news. Two niggas done already shot each other every day. It happens every day, and no one stops this shit. They just encourage. Oh, he's a good kid. Oh, he just had a lot going on. He had a rough bringing. How about instead, if he has like a bunch of violent offenses, he should have been in jail. He should not even been freed. That should have would have happened. The fact that this shit keeps going on and it's not stopped, is what the fuck's going on, bro? We can't even walk outside anymore without worrying for your life. And black people don't realize this. Who affects this more than any other race besides whites, besides any other average American that wants to have a peace in their country, the greatest country in the world, like America? This affects you more than anybody because your children are the ones killing each other at the highest rate. It's black on black violence is higher than type of any other type of killing. Black people killing each other at a higher rate, but yet these black leaders don't want to say that. Or if they do say it, they blame it on something else instead of saying, "Oh no, 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 no! It's these two niggas are fault for killing each other." It's fatherlessness. It's the culture. Maybe at some point you just say it's just genetic IQ problems. It's a lot of issues that are just not being addressed, and it needs to be addressed. And I really feel like that this just needs to stop at some point. Like there needs to be some law and order. Come on, bro. This is just crazy. New Orleans is like literally crazy. Like literally, you park your car in say you go and see a concert or something like that at the Superdome, whatever. You got a higher chance of your car getting broken into while you're in the concert trying to have a good time. You come out, your windows smashed in, half your shit's gone. Well, God forbid you're going to work one regular day in New Orleans. Next thing you know, you have some fucking dirtbag came broken into your fucking car while you're going in and try to work your fucking job. That's why most people don't even like to drive their own vehicles anymore. They rather just take a Uber to get to work because they're so afraid of getting their shit broken into. Can't even live around people like that no more. You can't live around, like, why do people have to even live around this, bro? They don't want to. There needs to be some type of law and order in this country. There needs to be law and order before it gets bad, bro. Like black people think it's gonna get bad now. All these killings right now. What's stopping one vigilante from someday from just going out there and just doing, God forbid, what he believes what needs to be done? And then it's just gonna get far worse from that. Then the government's gonna come down and just take everyone's rights at that point. No one is gonna have rights. So as we go on right here, this is D. Calls right here. Brown Jr. was arrested at least 14 times in North Carolina, like I said, for crimes ranging from assault, firearms. This piece of shit was just let back out. This disgusting human fucking trash was just let back out multiple times, and the judge just gave him like a like basically just gave him like a pinky promise, like you pinky promise just to appear back in court again. Just like a note that just is like kind of like conveys like a pinky promise, like he just has to appear in court again. And look what the fuck happens. He needs to go to jail along with this piece of garbage. The mayor needs to go to jail along with this piece of garbage. There was also another one too that happened not too long ago as well. As you can see right here, the trending now, as we see right here. Let's click on this one right here. Pint-sized, airborne veterinarian was hacked to death by a fiend while walking her dog in the park. As you can see right over here, she was literally hacked to death walking. Why do people have to just? People can't go on and enjoy their lives anymore because you just got these garbage fuckers out here doing this stupid shit. These fucking garbage pieces of trash shouldn't even be roaming around the streets. This is supposed to be the guy that's crunching in the world, but yet we got garbage like this walking around and just stinking up the fucking place. Fucking disgusting. Now we're gonna go over to Fox News and get their coverage on this issue.
A chilling new video showing the last moments of a Ukrainian refugee's life right before being stabbed to death by a man with a lengthy criminal record on a train in North Carolina. This happened weeks ago.
Todd Pyro, look, she's just on her phone, has no idea what's about to happen. Todd Pyro is here with the latest. Hey, Todd.
The most horrific video, or at least one of the that I think we've seen on this program. Surveillance video obtained by News Nation shows 23-year-old Irina Zarutska. She was boarding the train in Charlotte, North Carolina last month. She took a seat right in front of the alleged suspect, but around 4 minutes later, the suspect pulls out a knife and just begins stabbing the victim 30 times, including once in her neck. The suspect later wandered through the train because she took a seat. The suspect pulls out a knife and just begins thereafter before being arrested on a charge of first-degree murder. Records obtained by the New York Post shows he has a lengthy history of convictions dating back more than a decade, including felony larceny, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and communicating threats. He served 5 years for a 2014 robbery and was released in 2020, but was arrested just 5 months later for assaulting his sister. Officials also say he was homeless at the time of the killing and believe it was a random attack. Zarutska was pronounced dead at the scene, her family saying she came to the U.S. to escape war-torn Ukraine. They say in a statement, quote, "Tragically, her life was cut short far too soon. This is an irreparable loss for her family." The suspect currently being held without bond. Back over to you.
Oh my gosh.
So
That could happen to anyone. I mean, like Lawrence was saying, that could be anybody sitting in that chair. You don't know what's behind you. And this guy, why is he out on the streets?
You see, before he stood up and with his knife, like he's smirking. You see him smirking there, like, I'm about to attack this woman who is about to get stabbed. She's just coming off her job at a pizzeria. And it turns out, one of the things she was doing in Ukraine, compiling stories of women resisting the Russian invasion.
Oh, my gosh.
So to be clear, this guy deserves the death penalty for his actions, right? It's premeditated.
Facts. He definitely does.
The way he looked and stands up on him, just brazen in the neck. He's a repeat offender. He had already committed larceny with a deadly weapon. And because our criminal justice system keeps wanting to reimagine things, when people are violent offenders and they have weapons, they don't deserve to be back on the street. I don't care if he's homeless or not. If people have mental health issues, get them the services they need. But we shouldn't have to tolerate them in society while you guys try to figure out a new way of doing the criminal justice system. We're seeing this in every major city. And it's not just like, okay, it's a liberal city and they just stay there. They spread out all across the country.
Facts.
But Elon Musk is somebody who said, why are people not talking about this crime? And the mayor comes out and says, I'm so glad you guys are not talking about the crime. We don't want to give this a lot of publicity. No, you need a lot of publicity. This is a victim of a crime, brutally killed after surviving the war in Ukraine, came here for some solace just to get a day job and just build their life at 20.
And I know, real quick, we're going to transition, because I know there's going to probably be some blacks that probably see this and say it's not a race issue. Let's go over to this one right here from X.
Now, why would that be? Why would one story demand 100 articles and another story 0 articles? And it's because the media is more interested in the all capitals story, the narrative, than the facts or the truth. Take a look at the difference here. I want to show you the actual truth. When it comes to crime, the story is about race. Race. Take a look at the black on white crimes, 385,000 in 2023. The white on black crimes, just under 118,000. You see the comparative numerical difference. But now, here's what the media actually does. They did what our camera operator just began to do a moment ago. I'm going to step out of the way. I'm going to show you literally what the media does with the camera. They zoom in on this number. This number, devoid of context. Now, why would that be?
As you can see, that was 2013 stats that were going over violent crimes, interracial violent crimes. As you can see, black on white, highest one up there. Unknown on white, highest one up there. They didn't show the black on black one. Let's just say it's very high.
23 and gets hacked to death. I mean, don't tell me that can't happen to you.
Well, he's definitely mentally disturbed. How could you do that to anybody, period? But he's like resting on his hand against the window. Looks like he's maybe about to go to sleep. And then all of a sudden he stands up and then stabs the girl.
Yeah, and then the mayor says, oh, we shouldn't villainize people with mental health issues. Excuse me, everyone that has mental health issues is not going around stabbing people. Then she said, oh, we can't arrest our way out of this. Oh, yes, we can. We can make sure when people are violent offenders that they don't see the daylight anymore.
Now they're going to put security on the trains. Now
you guys do it after a victim like this. So now we need to sit cat a corner to look both ways because we all know what lunatic is sitting behind us.
How scary is it? I mean, we live in New York City. I used to always take the subway. It's cheaper, it's quicker, but I don't ever take it anymore. I haven't taken it since all of the crime went up in New York, and I don't feel safe because of things like this.
Well, I'm on the train every day and the subway maybe twice a week, so you got to always think about that.
Do you ever?
I never think about it, especially no. I mean.
But can I just say this? So there's the people that are the victims of this, but then you have a Daniel Penny. When you do decide to defend yourself, you lose all your money, and you may get a liberal jury that wants to be woke and doesn't want to look at the facts, and then give you life.
There wasn't no Daniel Penny on that train to save this woman's life. God forbid if there was, because no, God willing if there was, because this woman would have been saved in this moment. God, if it was me on that train and I was loaded, I would have lit this motherfucker up and saved this woman's life. Everyone don't have capes, but I wish everyone did. In this moment right here, I wish there was instance of a Superman to save this woman's life, because this woman didn't deserve to lose her life. This poor woman escaped the war zone to come here and get killed. Like what the fuck is going on? What happened to America? I'll tell you what happened. Got niggerfied.
Prison for defending yourself. So we're in a no-win situation right now.
But that's why when Michael Whatley runs for Senate against the governor, he's got to bring stuff like this up. The crime in the city is run by a Democratic governor in a mostly Republican state. He's got to contrast that and say, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. This is what I would support.
Crime has become the issue for the next election right now.
I agree.
It is. I didn't predict it was going to be that way, but now it's crime.
We're going to see the left side of point of view of what they have to say about this incident.
Morning, a heinous act captured on video. I want you to warn you that this is disturbing. It is very graphic. This is surveillance footage moments before a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee was stabbed to death aboard a train in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, after she boards the train in her work uniform, she sits in front of her alleged killer. And after a few moments, in a seemingly just random act, the suspect pulls out a knife and attacks her.
Heartbreaking indeed. I want to go live to CNN's chief law enforcement and
Let's go back. Let's go back in a moment. Let's analyze this part right here.
After a few moments, in a seemingly just random.
He just randomly he just casually just pulling that knife out, like just casually pulling it out. This woman is literally just on her phone, minding her business. This dirtbag just casually is pulling it off, getting ready to take a life. Getting ready to just take a life. This woman literally just was just trying to have a peaceful night, going home for working her job. This bum right here probably doesn't even have a fucking job. This scumbag right here who took this woman's life doesn't have nothing going on with his fucking life. You know what he did? Now he just caused himself to get fucking lifetime in jail when he already should have had it in the first place. He should never been freed.
Random act, the suspect pulls out a knife and attacks her.
Heartbreaking indeed. I want to go live to CNN's chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst, John Miller, who's joining us from New York. John, what do we know, first of all, about this horrible attack and the alleged assailant?
Well, this happened back on August 22nd. The assailant, who's charged with murder in this case, is DeCarlos Brown, 34 years old. He's got 14 arrests in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. He just finished a 6-year stint for an armed gunpoint robbery and got out of jail a couple of years ago. And what we're trying to learn is more about what his encounters with law enforcement on the street have been since the time he was released from prison up until this incident.
The attack, as you know, John, has set off a political firestorm about crime in Democratic-led cities across the United States. How is this playing out?
Well, if you look at Charlotte, their
If you liking the stream so far, make sure you like the video. And like I said, comment on the video. Let me know how you like today's stream. Right, today is a very, very emotional stream. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say now. Let me not say no gay term like that. It's not emotional. It's just very like passionate stream. Because this is just like this is crime. This is what crime is. This is what it's done to America. This is why like I barely go anywhere. I just wake up, stream, go to work, try to mind my business, and come home. You can't even go out and have fun no more, bruh. Can't even just go out and just enjoy life without fucking bullshit violence going on in our world.
crime is actually taking a dramatic turn in the right direction. Their murders down 29% as of the July numbers I read through. Aggravated assault, which would capture stabbings, shootings, and other assaults, is down 25%. So you look at Charlotte, and like many of these cities that are telling this story, their violent crime is trending in the right direction. Their property crime, burglaries, car theft, you see slight increases in, but they have a very dynamic police department there that has a combination of assertive policing, precision policing, directed patrols, but also community policing involving youth outreach for juvenile delinquency and other things. So this is not one of those cities that is asleep at the switch on crime. What this is a terribly tragic, dramatic, terrible event captured on video, which is being magnified to send a certain message.
So certainly is. When you look at this video, John, what do you take away from the suspect's demeanor?
Well, I think we've all seen this story before, and we don't have this level of detail. But when you see an attack like this that is so completely and totally unprovoked and without another motive, meaning robbery, a sex crime, none of that came into play here. What we're probably dealing with, again, is untreated mental illness. And that's why I think we want to dig into what other encounters were there with the system that could have given tipping and cueing to where this person was in terms of mental illness, because we've seen so many of these unhinged people and unprovoked attacks.
All right, John Miller, thanks very much for that update.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's just at that point you just gotta say it's just genetics, bro. At that point, what else? What else argument can you really make? So we're gonna get some political commentators' reactions to this. Gonna go to Steven Crowder first.
Would be the least preferable for your black daughter to take. Your job is to keep her safe, black father. Be honest. You starting to understand where we're coming from? Plan accordingly. Imagine the parents' line of question. Wait a second, what happened? Wait, when did this happen? What was my daughter doing? Who was this man? This is the first time? It was the 14th time. Why was he not in prison?
Yeah.
What was his bail? It was nothing. Wait, he said he would go back? You guys knew this person was insane and violent and my daughter is dead? Why didn't... Oh, he's black. I guess there's nothing you can do.
Nothing we can do about it at all. And by the way, there are a lot of people out there right now saying that President Trump is eerily quiet on this as well. He's not. He's addressed it. We have the clip.
Oh, okay. Let's do we have the clip right now? All right, let's play it.
I just give my love and hope to the family of the young woman who was stabbed this morning or last night in Charlotte by a madman, a lunatic. Just got up and started. It's right on the tape.
Real quick, I have to look. I'm glad Trump spoke about this, but you know what he did right after he spoke about it? He endorsed. He says you need to go out and vote for this problem. Vote to get this Democratic elect mayor out of her position and put somebody in there to do it. Get this governor out of this position so you can sit in a Republican governor to go out there and so we can be able to enforce our laws better. How about you go and be the dictator that you wanted to be back in 2016, Donnie, and actually go enforce the laws, man? How about that? People want you to go in there. You talked about you want to arm you want to fucking take over, you want to take over all police, all of these big metropolitan cities and put the National Guard there to help better enforce the law. How about you send the National Guard there and go enforce the laws? I see these criminals all over Chicago sitting on TikTok saying, hey, don't come to Chicago. Don't come to Chicago. You could expect retaliation or some crap. Yeah, an AR-15 against some little toy pistol these fucking fags got. Forgive me. I didn't mean it. That slipped out. Forgive me, YouTube. Didn't mean to say it. The point is, hey, their little toy pistols ain't got nothing on AR-15s. On tactical training, on AR-15s. On tactical training. Send the National Guards to these cities and clean up those streets.
Not really watchable because it's so horrible, but just viciously stabbed. She's just sitting there. So they're evil people. We have to be able to handle that. If we don't handle that, we don't have a country.
100% right. And look, our friend, Mr. Gunzinger, he says this a lot, plan accordingly. Plan accordingly with a lot of different situations that you put out there. Plan accordingly.
And save the taxpayer money.
Plan accordingly. Yeah, exactly. If you're caring about ladies, if you're on a train, plan accordingly.
Well, you know what, though?
Where she's at. It's not her.
I'm going to step away for a minute. I got to take a piss.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna go. I'm not saying that he is, but
no.
That idea is a cop out. Let's be honest here. Hey, bring up that clip. Bring up the clip again of Zarutska, getting on the train.
And I'm gonna finish my thought because I wanted to make sure I say it the way I want to do.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I can do it after this.
Okay. Well, I'm probably gonna go a different direction, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. My racist words in your mouth.
Until they allow you to carry everywhere. Until
getting on the train.
And I'm gonna finish my thought because I wanted to make sure I say it the way I want to do.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I can do it after this.
Okay. Well, I'm probably gonna go a different direction, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. My racist words in your mouth.
Until they allow you to carry everywhere. Until these judges don't just let people back out. Because the government is not helping us right now with anything that they're doing. The DAs aren't helping us. The judges aren't helping us. These cases, plan accordingly.
Yeah, and I'll tell you
not going to get help.
I'll tell you what that is. So, we applied this to mass shootings, right? To school shootings. You should not be putting your kids in public school, right? 94% of mass shootings occur in gun-free zones. Don't put your children in one of the most vulnerable gun-free zones for 8 hours a day. There's a start. Maybe private school is better. Private school with security is better. Homeschooling is best. But there are a couple of steps. If you're an individual, you're an adult here in the United States, and you don't want to be a victim of this, well, first off, don't live in a major urban area if you can avoid it. Of course, avoid public transit in an urban area. And the left wants all of you on mass transit. That's why Mamdani wants more of it and wants it to be free. Of course you shouldn't. Play the
No. Okay, Noodle's got it.
All right, let's play this. Area. Don't live there if you can avoid it. That's where you shouldn't be taking it, in particular if you can avoid it. And please avoid doing so alone. Now, just to be clear, I'm not giving you any advice that I have not practiced myself. When I had to live in New York City, I did everything I could to get out of there as quickly as possible, and I wouldn't be traveling on the subway alone at night. And then I would be very, very aware of my surroundings if I happen to find myself in those single-digit instances. Keep playing. Okay, pause. Choosing a seat. Here's the cold water. I wouldn't sit with a blind spot to a man on public transit at night who is part of a demographic and seemingly emulating a culture in bright red where they make up 13% of the population but over half of the violent crime. I would profile him. And if you're a woman, you don't have the luxury of not. Now, none of this is to say that this is her fault. It's the fault of anyone other than the system and the judge and the culture that we have. But I do want to address the culture. I do want to address that little voice in the back of your head where, you know what I'm talking about. You get on that subway, you get on that train at night, and you go, oh, I don't want to move to a seat where someone might think that I'm racist and think that I didn't pick this seat. Who cares? Go to where you think is statistically safest, because you've already put yourself, unfortunately, in a risk pool that is much more dangerous than, at that moment in time, someone living in a suburban or rural area driving their own car. The idea of offending someone has nothing to do with it. And if there's no other seat available, which obviously isn't the case here, you should have eyes on that person the entire time. Would it have stopped it? No. I'm just going to tell you, we need to change this culture. We need to change the culture of poor victim when it's a perpetrator, and we need to change the culture of I don't want to offend anyone when it's about maintaining your life. Am I saying that if it was a white woman or Hispanic woman sitting there with a baby in her arms instead of a young black male that she would be less likely to commit a violent crime against you? Abso-fucking-lutely. So plan accordingly. Let's be real about what that means. Let's be real about what that means. A white woman who's recently moved to this country by herself on public transit at night, sitting in front of a large, young, black male in her blind spot, that shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen, and we shouldn't be a culture that wants people to be so colorblind and risk blind that they don't take it into account immediately when they find themselves in that situation. And black men watching, do you get it? Does that offend you? Let me ask you this, black men. If it was your daughter, would you give her the same advice? If it was your daughter, and you could present this as a choose your own path, if it was your daughter and she had to come home from her job late at night on a subway or on a train, on a bus, and there are a few seats open, somewhere next to a white guy in a polo and khakis, an older woman, a Hispanic couple, and a lone black male in a hoodie with his hood over his dreads. Which seat would be the least preferable for your black daughter to take? Your job is to keep her safe, black father. Be honest. You start to understand where we're coming from? Plan accordingly.
Yep. It sucks, but listen, I mean, we want to prevent future cases like this. And look, I get she's Ukrainian. She's probably not looking at the same, this country in the same lens that we are necessarily, but that's why we're saying this.
Yeah.
It's not victim blaming or shaming in any way, shape, or form. We're just saying, hey, in these situations, get away.
What's she supposed to think? She watches U.S. News. She watches World News, which is CNN. She watches NBC. She watches, mainstream media. That's where she gets her news.
Yeah.
They say there's nothing wrong. In D.C. there is. In the White House there is.
I know. I'm sitting in the hot seat. Let me ask you. I know that plenty of you have daughters here and there. What would you tell your daughter? Where should she sit?
Oh, it's easy. Like, if you
would that be the worst seat in the house? Would you tell her that if you had a teacher?
I would say, listen. Let me make this very easy for people who are maybe a little squeamish on this topic right now. I would not sit where she sat. I'm 6'4", 250 pounds. I can handle myself.
Yeah, you'd sit on
I would not sit. Yeah, I would sit there. So here's why. There's two good options when she goes in there. One is sitting with any other person in that car, basically.
Standing by the door.
The other one is there's a row of seats that faces the middle of the train. It's not the back front thing. It faces the middle. That were just to her right that she could have sat in as well. Again, not victim blaming. Just saying. That's where I would have sat or I would have stood up. And I would never have turned my back on that person on that train. Ever. And if I got onto a train and didn't feel safe, I would have felt like no less of a man going, not this car, not this time at night. I'll walk.
Yep.
I'll do something different. Don't ever be afraid of any of that. And I certainly would have not had earbuds in and been on my phone and senses completely taken up by a screen. That was everybody in that car, basically. That's a very dangerous, at night, in those situations, just giving you tips. That's a very dangerous thing to do. Be aware of your surroundings. Make sure that you can see what's going on in the car, especially if you're among the most.
That is actually facts. I agree 100%. We're going to transition over to see what Tim Pool has to say about this.
Story in the country right now. The murder of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska. She got on a train in Charlotte, sat down, minding her own business, was looking at her phone, when a black man sitting behind her, someone who had been arrested, I believe 13 or so times, for no reason, murders her. It's on camera. People are sitting around watching this happen. This story, despite being the biggest, you say, Tim, it's the biggest story? Well, I haven't seen it in the mainstream media. Exactly. with tens of millions of views, with hundreds of thousands of retweets over and over and over again all across the weekend. People are furious, and they're asking themselves and they're asking this country, why is this happening? Why aren't our leaders doing anything about it? And why hasn't the media even brought it up? Now, I've seen the inverse. I've seen the liberal and disaffected faux liberal saying the only reason conservatives care about this is because there was a white girl, blah, blah. No one cares about. Shut up. This story exemplifies a problem in this country that has long been called out by the quote unquote right, whatever you want to call it, which includes disaffected liberals, moderates, etc. The issue is not that a white girl was killed. That's what they're trying to claim. They're trying to claim the only reason MAGA's talking about this is because a black man killed a white girl. Wrong. And they say no one cares about black on black crime. Not correct. I've heard Charlie Kirk talk about black on black crime dozens or more times. I don't even regularly watch his show. No disrespect. I'm just saying, like, I'm working all day and I still see his clips where he brings this up, and so do all of us. In fact, just this past weekend, or I should say on Friday, I had the debate over the black neighborhoods in Chicago, areas where I grew up, and whether or not we should have National Guard deployed. And I said, yeah, of course. And these liberals say no. So I tell you why this story, at least for me, matters.
Crazy.
Not from Charlotte. But it's another case of a seemingly nonsensical, random act of violence against an innocent person. And there are several factors here. The fact the media hasn't covered it. If the media ran this story, it wouldn't be as big. I got to be completely honest. A large component of this story, of this young woman's murder, was that the mainstream press refused to write about it. And the reason they refused to write about it is because liberals won't click on the story. Because I sat down with a liberal on Friday who told me, first, he's not from Chicago, so he has no idea. The Democrats in Chicago for 100 years have not solved the problem of crime. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah,
and
look who's in charge.
And my family and my friends should have to live with it because Trump sending in the National Guard would be illegal. And he plays this game. Should Trump deploy the National Guard even if
they use these words like Nazi, fascism, totalitarianism? Is all these fucking stupid terms just to get the laws enforced? People just want law and order, bro. It was never like this before, but yet we got to this point now and we want to fix the problem. With these fucking stupid people that just will not comply. If this was a real country like El Salvador, like Russia, like China, there would be no fucking crime right now. This would have been solved right now. But we gotta deal with these freak shows that sit up here and say, "Oh, it's illegal to do this. No, it's fascism, Nazis." Fucking joke.
if it is illegal? Let me tell you this, my friends. I am sick of this game where I am told by these liberals and these well-to-do libertarian types, call them reason libertarians. We like the libertarians, okay, some of them. But they tell me, Tim, you have to let this happen. The murder has to happen. Because if police are empowered or the National Guard is sent in, it'll be worse. Have you ever been to a country where they've got federalized police forces? And I say this to them. There is no happy medium. There is no ends justifying the means. And your arguments are illogical. If you tell me I have two choices, men who should be in prison murder random people, or National Guard or federalized law enforcement that shake you down and are corrupt, I say, what's the difference? Anarcho-tyranny or tyranny? I have to live under a boot either way. I can't defend myself from these people. My family must flee. What's the difference? And the left will say, clearly an authoritarian state is much, much worse. It's pros and cons, baby. I can tell you all the reasons why it's pros and cons. Sure. You get falsely accused, you go to jail, you get locked up, you can't speak. An authoritarian government is terrifying. It is. But that's only if you actually get one. The Democrats, on the other hand, say you can choose to live there. That's better. Under their rule of law, where there's 5 dead every week, I think, like 600 to 800 every year in Chicago, where I grew up as a young kid in Chicago hearing gunshots The hot dog stand, hot dog shop, 2 blocks from my house had bulletproof windows, and it had bullet marks in it. I don't want to say bullet holes because people are going to be like, you can't shoot through bulletproof. It had the impact craters on the glass. So let me show you a little bit about this. And largely, I got 1,000,001 things to say about this, and I'm right. I'm done playing this game with these liberals, okay? These well-to-do, uppity liberals who don't know what it's like. Who don't know what it's like when you're a kid walking down the street and gangbangers pull up and say, are you in or not, or else? When gangbangers pull up and say, what you is, and flash you gang signs, and you don't know what to do. What's that? You accidentally wore black and blue today? You're in trouble. What's that? You accidentally wore a jersey that was yellow and black? Now you're a gangbanger. How many people I know got mixed up in this stuff? Drugs, violence, murder. And we weren't even in the worst neighborhood. But we shouldn't have to live like this. This is what Democrats give you, and we shouldn't have to live like this. So I'm going to say it again. Now, I'll read the news. I'm sorry. This gets me ranting. When the Democrats say sending in the National Guard is authoritarian, I say, well, you gave us rampant violent crime and reckless unnecessary murder and things like this. So I went to my friends. My homies from south side of Chicago. And I said, remember all the ish we went through when we were kids? I'm not going to pretend like we cried about it every day. It is what it is. The gangbangers were in the parks. House got broken into. They stole everything. Rival gangs, etc. These are the things that happened. They stole my Game Shark. Actually, it was a Game Shark I was borrowing from my friend James. It's not a joke. And they broke into my house, and they took only the Game Shark. It was plugged into the back of my... A couple of National Guard are walking down the street, and you walk past them. Or literally how life was. And they just start laughing. Like, they said, it's a stupid question. I said they laughed because it was a retarded question. Duh. Literally nobody I know is going to have a problem with this. They're going to be like, what? I don't know. Like the national, what? Who cares? Don't get me wrong. It's not like we were cheering on the cops on the south side of Chicago. The police department was run by Democrats. It was broken. But are you kidding me? National Guard not enforcing laws. They'd just be standing there at the park. We wouldn't even care. We'd be like, I don't know. Nobody cares. You know what we cared about? We had gangs that would come in our neighborhood, just mug everybody. And the cops said, if we start stopping the violent crime, we'd only be arresting black people, and that we'd get in trouble for being racist.
Yeah.
Not a joke. I am playing some stupid game where I'm saying all black people are violent. I'm saying we had the LeClaire courts 2 blocks away from our park, north of 47th. It was an almost entirely black neighborhood. As far as I know, it was entirely black. And the gangbangers there in the black neighborhood would come down south of 47th where we lived, and they would mug people. And it was largely black gangs. And when we go to the police, they'd be at the park and we'd be like, dude, like we're getting, like my friend just got mugged. They took his money, took everything. What they would do, we call them like speed muggings, flash muggings. They surround you real quick and just frisk you. Like 5 guys will just go through your pockets before you even realize what's happening, and then they walk away. We're lucky enough not to get stabbed or beaten. And the cops have literally told us on more than one occasion, they were like, look, we're not going to go over there and just start shaking down the black neighborhood because a group of teenagers came over here and robbed you. And we're like, why don't you have cops here to stop them? And they're like, if we did that, we would have a bunch of black people getting arrested every week, and the media would say we're racist. Not kidding. No joke. And on numerous occasions, if non-black people, because we had like it was like largely white area, some Latino. If we went in north of 47th, it was all residential, so you didn't really have a reason to unless you were friends with somebody. The cops would stop you, question you, and they'd actually, on numerous occasions, I know people, they said, get in, we're driving you back. There's no reason for you to be here. You are detained. Get in the car. Come on. Here's the story. Let me tell you this. Horrid video of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska's slaughter. You may have seen the videos. The story is the biggest in the country. That's why I'm ranting, my friends. Apologies. I don't think I need to go through everything everybody already knows, okay? She boarded the train, this poor young woman getting off work, minding her own business when this guy decided to take her life. Many people are juxtaposing this with Daniel Penny. In the Daniel Penny story, you get this guy threatening people, saying he was going to kill him. Penny took action, didn't try to kill anybody, subdued the man, and afterwards put him in the recovery position and waited there. and he got criminally charged. This man on the left ended the life of this young woman. You see, there was another story. There was another story in Philadelphia where a man raped a woman in full view of the passengers. This is not, it's literally on a train that was moving in Philly, pinned her down, raped her. And you know what these people did? They filmed it. I don't want to live that way. I don't want to live that way. I was saying, dude, if I don't know that I have it in me to not react. If I saw a guy like literally raping a woman, I'm like, I'd probably just run full speed and drop kick him. I don't even know. I don't even think I would think. In this regard, when this guy pulled out the knife and ended this woman's life, I can certainly understand. He's got a knife. We're unarmed. What do we do? And therein lies the big challenge. So while I certainly say it is shocking how people on the train just sat around and did nothing.
Yeah, that's even the more
what do you
shocking
do when
part.
someone's got a knife? That's the world we live in. The
the
criminals
most
will kill
shocking
with
part right
impunity.
there.
We can't defend ourselves in these cities. They don't let you carry weapons. I don't know. I don't have a good response for you. I think I'm going to say this. All the tough guys are going to come out and be like, I'd have tried to stop him. I don't care. And it's you can't when he's got a knife. It's not a joke. Do any basic training. Like, I'm not going to pretend to be a combat expert. I've just done the hostile environment trainings. And they teach us about knife combat. Basic first aid, knife, gun, etc. How to deal with all these situations. And then the one thing that they tell you is, someone's got a knife, they will kill, you're dead. You can't. These movies where the guy's got a knife and the guy grabs the arm and flips him over, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. So I'm not going to pretend to be a tough guy and say, oh, I would have stopped him. I don't think I could have. Now, if he was unarmed and you strangling or something, yeah, maybe I'd have been like Daniel Penny. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'd like to think that I'm not a coward. I've never been tested, but I'd like to think that if I was, I would pass. I look at the tested thing there, but for the Grayskull eye, I might be a coward. I'm afraid of what I might find out. Famous line from Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I'm not entirely afraid of what I might find out. I think I might be a little reckless though, but I can't believe we live this way. Charlie Kirk says, "Dear CNN, WAPO, New York Times, ABC, NBC, if you want to know why your ratings are in the tank and no one likes you, look no further than the brutal murder of Irina Zarutska, who moved to the U.S. to escape war in Ukraine, a story you refuse to tell. Sadly, she couldn't survive the Democrats' criminal justice system. Yet you wouldn't shut up or stop villainizing Daniel Penny, a hero who probably stopped a murder just like hers. Why? Because he was a straight white American male and the perp was black. Shame on you, genuinely." I tweeted this. If there was one National Guardsman on that train, this wouldn't have happened. Just one. And the liberals responded with, "You seriously want National Guard on your trains now?" I just genuinely have a question for these liberals. What do they think the National Guard does? What do they think they would do? Do you think that some young National Guardsman on orders to stand in a train is going to mercilessly beat you or stab you in the neck? I'm telling you this right now. I'm not playing this stupid game, okay? Let me make it very simple for all of you. If you tell me we can't have the National Guard deployed because then you would have authoritarianism. Oh, so I should just live in cities where there's people getting shot all the time.
Yeah.
And my friends are being attacked and harassed by gangs and mugged all day. And they go, but murder is down. Murder is down because there's a population decline among the youth. Immigration's masked that number. This is what our liberal debater was saying. What do you mean population's up? Yeah, because of illegal immigration. But the youth population is down because of fertility, and young people are the predominant perpetrators of violent crime. So what that really means is crime is still happening at a high frequency among the percentage of individuals committing crime isn't changing. But there's less. Yes, because there's less people in certain areas.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that no amount of murder is acceptable, and there are means by which we can seek to mitigate and stop this. What the Democrats have proposed for generations has not done this. Now, I can't speak for Charlotte because I don't live there, but I can say this.
By the way, real quick, I want to talk about TikTok. So TikTok removed one of my clips that I posted on there for community guidelines. It was an Epstein clip from one of my Epstein's stream. Talked about where Epstein was getting a lot of his money from, and I don't know how that goes against his guidelines. Oh, that's right. It's TikTok done TikTok, after it got banned and came back, suddenly is against true information, especially when it leads to a certain country. Go figure. That's just very stupid. This is why TikTok's. I love TikTok, but it's just fucking gay sometimes. Just have to say it.
In Chicago, where I live, I'm sorry, where I grew up. I don't live there now. We're in West Virginia. There's a reason I left. The Democrats' plan never stopped the crime. They were scared of politics. So, it's racist if you point out that most of the gangbangers lived in LeClaire Courts, was a predominantly black neighborhood. I think it was like 99% black. I think it was all black, to be honest. I don't know. I will tell you this. Never in my life, in the decades, I left Chicago when I was 23. I had stints outside of Chicago from like 21 to 23. I was like in Colorado for a month. I was in Seattle for a couple months. But I grew up in Chicago and then finally left at 23, went to LA, and I was gone. That was it. 23 years old. The entire time I lived in Chicago, I never set foot north of 47th Street. It was 2 blocks from my house. In fact, the hot dog shop on 47th, I think I only ate there one time. And I went there with some friends, and it was there was bullet holes. So when you shoot bulletproof glass, it creates an impact crater. And we want to go back. My bike got stolen once. Guess where the cops found it? They found it in a backyard north of 47th. We never went there. The Democrats' plan, do nothing. They literally did nothing.
Yeah.
They were concerned that if they actually went to these neighborhoods and said, we're going to clean up the crime, and it's predominantly in the black neighborhood, that they'd be called racist. And they would. And it would cost them votes. So you know what they did? All these trouble.
Dems was pretty much regurgitating what I just pretty much said earlier. So we're gonna segue into our next story, feature story tonight. We're talking about the Israeli terrorist attack that happened in Gaza. Well, people call it a terrorist attack. I called it, hey, look, this is consequences of occupation. So we pretty much covered everything we need to cover with the Ukrainian Arinka Zarutska case. Just the moral of the story is we need to fix it. We have a lot to fix in America. Till then, people just don't want to live around this shit no more. People just don't want to be around this crap no more. It's unsafe to go anywhere right now and to have your back turned to anything because you never know what the fuck's gonna happen. So pull up my other screen. All right, about to pull up my notes right quick. I took down some notes for this. All right, so give you guys a brief summarized bit of what's going on right now that happened today. So our feature story tonight took place in Israel. So today there was an attack in Israel. This is on the morning of today, September the 8th, 2025. 2 Palestinian gunmen from a village near Ramallah in the occupied West Bank carried out a deadly shooting attack at the Ramat Junction. A busy bus stopped on the northern outskirts of Jerusalem in the Ramat neighborhood, an Israeli settlement area annexed after 1967. Around 10:15 a.m. local time, the attackers boarded a public bus, line 62. Disguised as passengers, one repeatedly posing as a ticket inspector and opened fire on civilians waiting at the stop and inside the vehicle. Using an improvised carload submachine gun, ammunition, and a knife, The assault lasted briefly but was chaotic, with gunfire shattering bus windows and scattering passengers. This is a very deadly event, and I'm sad about the loss of human life. But we're not gonna sit here and just act like wasn't coming. Like, this conflict is just gonna keep going on back and forth and back and forth. So the casualties, at least 6 Israelis killed, including civilians such as a 50-year-old man and a woman in her 50s and 3 men in their 30s. One victim died later at the Shiri Zedek Medical Center. At least 12 injured, 6 in serious conditions from gunshot wounds, others likely from glass shards. Emergency services like Magan David Adam described as a tragic scene, with victims unconscious on the road and sidewalk. Response: an off-duty Israeli soldier and an armed civilian at the scene returned fire, neutralizing and killing both attackers on the spot. Israeli police and IDF forces sealed the area, closed major roads, and deployed reinforcements. IDF Chief Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir ordered a full closure of the attackers' villages and intensified operations in the West Bank to thwart terror infrastructure. One suspect from East Jerusalem was arrested in connection with the plot. Apparently, it was one of the Palestinians' fathers. Official reactions: Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the site, calling it part of an intense war against terror on several fronts, and vowing pursuit of the attackers' villages. President Isaac Herzog condemned it as absolute evil and acts of heroism by responders. Now, the Palestinian Authority condemned targeting of civilians. Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad praised it as resistance, but did not claim responsibility. You can make of it whatever you want, if this was Hamas's doing or not. There's a strong possibility that they did have something to do with this, but of course they're just not gonna say that out loud for obvious reasons. International figures like UK Foreign Minister Secretary Hooper expressed horror and condolences. Context: this is one of the deadliest attacks in Jerusalem since October 7th. There's a lot far worse that happened in Palestine. They had, especially in the West Bank, there's a lot far worse that's happened. So, all right. So it acquired amid heightened West Bank. There's a lot far worse has happened. So, all right. So it acquired amid heightened West Bank tensions, Israeli military operations in Gaza, and global cost. But it aligns with lone cell attacks. All right. This also right around the same time that there's been multiple countries are finna recognize a Palestinian state. As my notes goes on, as of September 2025, 147 United Nations members states out of 193, or about 76%, recognize the state of Palestine as a sovereign nation. So, as you can see, a lot of countries recognize a state of Palestine, and at the upcoming summit, they are going to formally advocate and advocate, and I have the word on the top of my head. Forgive me. I'm trying to do multiple things at one time, and trying to push for a Palestinian state to come to fruition so the Palestinians can have their sovereignty. But Israel does not want that to happen. Israel wants this war between the Palestinians and the Israelis. It's not just Hamas. They look at all the Palestinians as jihadists. They look at all the Palestinians as terrorists. So besides just Hamas, they can include the Palestinian people themselves. So they consider the Palestinian people a part of the problem too, this attack. Now, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu still blames Hamas for this attack and said they're a part of Hamas. Hamas denies it. Whatever you want to take out of it, it's not me giving my personal opinion. I'm just telling you to think for yourself and come to your own conclusion about what this really means. But the problem of the matter is, this attack today is a reminder of like decades long back and forth between the Israelis, the Palestinians, Hamas, whatever. This is just a long decade worth of conflict. And it still hasn't been quelled yet. You have to ask yourself this question: how much more fighting till we need to come to a full, complete ceasefire or a peace deal, so where everyone gets what they want and the bloodshed stops? The Israelis seem like they're not consenting on a peace deal. Even though Hamas agreed multiple times, lay down the firearms, return the hostages if the killing would stop, but Israel insists on keep on going. They insist on keep this going. So instead of having this stop, they're insisting that the conflict, the fight continues on. They continue the genocide. How many Palestinians have to keep dying before we say enough's enough? Now, I'm sorry about the Israelis, the loss of life today, that there had to be people that had to die because of this attack. But at some point you have to ask, what was the cause of this? Where did this come from? As you can see, you see where it's coming from. Years and years and decades of occupation is causing this. It's a back and forth battle. And you wonder why the Palestinians or Hamas, whichever one you look at, are coming right back at you. You got guys like Itamar Ben Gvir, who just said today, we don't need to go easy on the Hamas prisoners. We need to starve them. We need to go harder on them. We need to show no mercy. We need to wipe them off the face of the fucking map. That's what he said, basically, verbatim. When you have this type of level of like warfare, cruelty, hatred, you tend to get this right back in return. So I'm about to bring up on screen right quick for you guys to see. These are all the countries that recognize a Palestinian state right here. Now, as you can see, the map, obviously speaking, Canada, France, UK, they all recognize the Palestinian state. China, India, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Algeria, Brazil, Russia, they all recognize the Palestinian state. They all want to end the conflict. This has been going on far too long. Go to CNN right here. These are all the countries. This was back 2014, 2011. Some of them have longer, have called for a Palestinian state to be recognized for the end of the conflict completely. But we know who doesn't want this? The Israelis. They do not want the end of the conflict because they believe you reward the terrorists, which they consider all, from their point of view, all the Palestinians, including the women and children, supposedly they have nothing to do with this. The innocent women and children and men who are not part of Hamas. They have nothing to do with this. They consider them all of them terrorists, and you don't reward terrorists with a state, because then you give them sovereignty, the battle will never end. But in most cases, they want to give them a state that is demilitarized. as crazy as I would probably, me personally speaking, if I was a prime minister of Palestine, I probably wouldn't go for that. But at this point, it's better than being genocide. It's better than being genocide. These are the 6 Israelis right here that died. These are the 6 right here that died. I think one of them is a stepson of Itamar Ben Gavir. I believe it's this guy right here. He's right here in the corner to your far left top corner. This is why he's even more pissed off and he wants them to be wiped out. So you have to understand exactly why is this conflict happening, why today's assault is just going to be more of the same. Go on. And now Benjamin Netanyahu is saying we need to go in there extreme and just go ahead and just fully take it over and just wipe them out. Completely, and kick them out of the territory. Kick them out of their homes. Like they haven't been occupying them for years. These people have been literally in prison, in hell, dealing with this. The Israelis treat them like dirt, like trash. Because that's just their ideology. And you can see there's protests and something that's going on in Israel, but you have to ask a real good question. How many Israelis really do are just against this? Because it seems like to me when they captured like a couple of Hamas prisoners, they were calling for, I'll give you a full little brief story right quick. So the brief story was there was some IDF soldiers that had fornicated some Hamas prisoners or Palestinian prisoners. Either way it goes, they fornicated their prisoners. Like I'm talking about, like raped them. And what were all of the Israelis who were mad about these IDF soldiers that got arrested by the Israeli Shin Bet, whatever? They got arrested for doing this to these prisoners of war. The Israeli people were protesting and said, let the IDF soldiers rape them. Let them do inhumane things to them. Because if it's not an Israeli or a Jew in this case, why should we care? Why should we care? And then he asked, why does stuff like this happens? It's happening because of the years and years of occupation, death, the Nakba, of course. The 6 Days Wars that's happened, being the bully of the Middle East. You wonder why this is happening? Maybe because it's happening because Israel has been doing this for far too long, and people they're sick and tired of being under control by an apartheid state that has zero feelings outside of Jewish people. This is sickening. So I'm gonna pull up a video for us to watch real quick. I've been on air for like almost a couple of hours, so about to wind down the stream soon. And tomorrow I'm gonna react to this Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan. It was apparently him and Piers Morgan had another like debate. I'm interested to see how this turns out, but all right. So Bishop Hill was also on the Breakfast Club. I'll probably react to that tomorrow too as well. So this comes from Al Jazeera.
Chapter starts with the narrator.
Wrong one actually. Was the wrong one I clicked on. All right, here you go. Keep this in mind. This is what happens. This is what happens under a enforced military deadly occupation where they're massively starving a massive population of people. They're killing them when they're trying to get aid for food. They're bombing them in increment. They're just bombing them like without any care in the world. Not even asking the question if it's like Hamas is really in that area. They're just saying that Hamas was there, and they just bombed the hospital of people that are being treated, and don't even care at all if there was a Hamas member there. A bunch of women and children died. You know how many videos you have to see before you just become stone cold emotionally? It to where it just like so it numbs you. The way you're just seeing this daily on X. Like I don't know how many times I can take it, like where I can see a father pick up his child and cry in his arms that his child's no longer with him. Because the Israelis just don't have no care in the world. Because it's all about getting to Hamas. So this is from Al Jazeera that covers the attack in Jerusalem, injures at least 20 people, 6 critically.
Jazeera, let's return to that breaking news that we're getting out of West Jerusalem. We're hearing of at least 20 people injured there, that according to the Israeli ambulance service, in a shooting. Israeli police say they too have reports of several being injured in a shooting in what we believe to be West Jerusalem. These some of the most recent pictures coming into us, appearing to show what looks like a major highway there in West Jerusalem. According to Israeli police, they say, quote, terrorists have been neutralized. Let's go to Hamda Salhout, who's following developments from Jordan's capital. Just to remind you, our team is operating out of Jordan because the Israeli government's banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and the occupied West Bank. Hamda, I appreciate it's early days in our understanding of what's happened here.
And that's another thing I wanted to bring up too as well. How many reporters have Israel's killed over the years? Like, they've bombarded a bunch of reporters. They just bombarded one of the most known reporters that is from Palestine that was reporting on this happening every day. Literally. And it's, what do you know what they say? Oh, he's part of Hamas. There's no really factual evidence. The guy took a picture with Hamas and just said he's just part of Hamas just because he had a picture with them. There was no other evidence besides just a picture. Literally. And they killed the guy. What is enough is enough?
We understand at least now 20 people have been injured in this incident in West Jerusalem. Anything to add there, Hamda?
We are looking at least 20 people injured and at least 6 of them in serious condition after what Israeli police say 2 alleged gunmen opened fire in this area that's the northern part of West Jerusalem, right outside of an illegal settlement. These are pretty main roads in West Jerusalem. So what Israeli police are also saying is that they have blocked off every single road that leads to this area. And Israeli police often use this term neutralized, and what it means is they have either arrested the shooter or they've killed the shooters involved, and they don't really give more information until they have completed any sort of investigation that they're following. Now, these roads that have been closed, leading up to Ramot, leading up to the northern parts of West Jerusalem, and leading to the illegal settlements in the area, Israeli police say will remain blocked off. If you look at the images on the screen, there is a lot of traffic that's there, and that's because those cars will now have nowhere to go. The ambulance services say they're still looking in the surrounding areas for people that might be injured. Everyone who has been injured is now transferred to a hospital, to a medical facility. It's also worth mentioning that today there is also a Netanyahu trial that will be convening, but of course Netanyahu has been updated on the situation. The ambulance services says that now these people are in serious condition, the 6 to a medical facility. It's also worth mentioning that today there is also... Well, look, the situation regarding illegal settlements is only getting worse and worse. So this is an area that actually...
Hold on, I'm having dropping frames. Still streaming. Okay. All the way back. Never mind.
Cuts into occupied East Jerusalem, and it's the northern part of it. So if you look at a map and you look at the green line, this area actually does cut into what would technically be occupied East Jerusalem, just north of the main part of the city. And whenever you have any sort of incident like this, the Israeli police, the military all of them will essentially say the same thing. They will essentially give out the same sort of talking points. But the reality on the ground is that this is an illegal Israeli settlement that a lot of the international community, of course, deems illegal under international law because it infringes on a potential Palestinian state in the future. So incidents like this, throughout the war, we actually have not seen as many of them. But prior to the war, we did see, perhaps on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, these sort of shooting attacks in response to huge military operations that were happening in the occupied West Bank. And that is what...
And Israel could just expect more. It's just going to be a repeating cycle. That's all it's going to be. This is just never going to end cycle. It's just never going to be an endless cycle of violence. That's all. The Israelis understand that this is happening just from stealing land that quote unquote wasn't theirs. Many Israelis will say that. Whose land really is it for? Damn sure the Palestine is land that doesn't belong to them. They go there, they took it away from the Palestinians, and now they're bombarding them years for years. IDF soldiers ruthlessly killing them, starving them. And then the crazy thing about it, you want to know some secret? Benjamin Netanyahu created Hamas. He funded their creation. He created, basically controlled opposite. He created his own enemy. But then he says that Hamas is a proxy of Iran. But at the same time, Benjamin Netanyahu allowed them to be funded. So that way he has an excuse for going to war, going to take over the West Bank, go and take over Palestine completely and wiping it off. And then kicking the Palestinians out and sending them to Egypt, want to send them to Jordan, want to send them to any other Middle Eastern country that will take them in. And who can help Benjamin Netanyahu convince one of these countries' leaders? President Donald Trump. That's who.
What the groups who perhaps the gunmen were involved with, those are the types of statements they released, but some of those attacks were lone gunmen. But those attacks then were a result of the Israeli military activity in the occupied West Bank. Since the war on Gaza started 2 years ago, we haven't seen as much of these sorts of attacks. However, what we are seeing in the occupied West Bank is an even larger Israeli military presence. So Israeli police and the military alike have said that, of course, they are used to, in a sense, of how to deal with these types of attacks. Remember that people in Israel, both in illegal settlements and on the streets in West Jerusalem and the rest of what is considered Israel, a lot of people are armed. Civilians are armed. And you have had previously civilians who have gotten involved in this, who will shoot those who are perpetrators, people who have their weapons on them, who before police or the military arrive, they have actually shot those who are responsible for any sort of attack. So this is...
Imagine this. They can arm the Israelis with guns, but the Palestinians have nothing to arm themselves against IDF soldiers who could just come and kill them indiscriminately. Let that sink in for a moment. The Israelis will arm their own to protect themselves against the terrorists. Yeah, sure. What about the Palestinians? They have nothing to defend themselves when they're just going to try to get food to feed their families because they're hungry. They haven't ate nothing prior. Famine spreading all out during these regions or these sections of Palestine which are destroyed. They got nothing to defend themselves against the IDF soldiers. But the IDF soldiers got all the weaponry and are shooting them just like crazy. No care in the world. No regard for human life. It's not Israeli, so why the hell should they care? That's basically their ideology.
The cycle that we actually, for the last several months, did not see a lot of. But now this situation is escalating because 20 people injured is not a small number. And we are just getting an update from the Israeli public broadcaster that 5 of those who are injured are in a critical condition.
Yeah, Hamda, as you've been speaking, we've managed to get a live link up to the site of that shooting. Lots of personnel, emergency crews, police gathered at the scene there. Traffic obviously brought to a halt, as you say. The roads appear to have been sealed off. Just to remind our viewers, we are looking at the aftermath of a shooting, according to Israel's ambulance service and Israeli police, in the northern part of West Jerusalem, close to an illegal settlement there. At least 20 people injured, 6 of them very seriously indeed. Obviously,
I'll go to pull up where Benjamin Netanyahu comes down and speaks about this. Let me see. Yep, this is right here.
Our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Porrick O'Brien, is in Jerusalem now. Porrick, over to you.
Matt, the 2 men that carried out this awful attack this morning, believed to be from areas around Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. We're hearing now that those areas are in lockdown amidst an intense security operation. Also, just before we came on air, we're seeing posts on social media where Israeli settlers are calling for revenge demonstrations on the streets of towns and cities in the West Bank. And then added into the mix, Benjamin Netanyahu just ratcheting up the rhetoric as is his wont in the last couple of hours on a video statement, saying that what's happening in Gaza, what the IDF are doing in Gaza, is just the beginning. So a very dark.
I said, if you tune into the stream right now on YouTube and Rumble, make sure you like the video too, and leave a comment. Like I said, let me know how you liking the stream so far. We are winding down the stream right now. Been on for like 2 hours. It's gonna be a very shorter stream tonight. I might go a little bit longer tomorrow because we got a couple of videos to react to tomorrow. So yeah, gonna be a little shorter stream tonight. But like I said, like the video, share it too as well. Social media, bring some more attention to the channel. All right, let's get back into it.
Dark day in Gaza, in the West Bank, starting in East Jerusalem at a bus stop not far from here. And I should warn viewers that there are distressing images in our report. Around 10 a.m. this morning, and like most days at this time, the traffic at the Ramat junction close to standstill. The street outside the bus depot, just inside Israel-occupied East Jerusalem, is full of people. Then the sound of gunfire drowns out the...
As you can hear, the gunfire is going off right there. This is the bus right here where this gunfire is going off at.
Car horns. People run for their lives. Bullets hit the windows of the bus next to the taxi driver right of screen. His focus, getting an elderly passenger to safety. Within seconds, armed civilians start shooting back as more arrive on the scene. 5 men and a woman were killed. 2 others were seriously wounded when 2 attackers opened fire near the bus stop. We arrived on the scene of one of the worst attacks in Israel since October the 7th, not long after it happened. Gitti Beer was one of the first paramedics to attend.
Many wounded people running around screaming. There were women with babies, carriages. So we grabbed one man. He was shot in his back. He looked like he needed to get to the hospital right away. He was sweating. He was white, and there was a gunshot wound. Just a random person standing, waiting for...
Like I said, I'm sad for any loss of human life. I don't prey on anyone's loss of human life, but you gotta understand, the Israelis been doing it for so long. They should... Attacks like this are gonna happen. They're gonna happen repeatedly, more and more and more. This war's been raging on for about 4 years? But it's been going on way longer than that. Way longer than that.
Of us.
The dead were named as Rabbi Mordecai Steinzeg, Yaakov Pinto, Sarah Mendelssohn, Levi Yatzak Pash, Israel Matzner, and Rabbi Yusuf David. The Israeli police said this morning that, quote, 2 terrorists arrived in a vehicle. The weapons they used were recovered at the scene. They also said that an off-duty soldier and civilians returned fire and, quote, neutralised the attackers. So you can see 1, 2, 3 bullet holes on the windscreen of the bus. According to security services, the attackers were from Ramallah in the West Bank. They arrived on the scene with ammunition, weapons and knives. They were killed on the scene, we understand, by soldiers and civilians. In a society as heavily armed as this, it was in effect a suicide mission. About an hour after the attack, Benjamin Netanyahu arrived at the scene, flanked by his far-right security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir. He offered condolences to the families of the victims and framed what happened in terms of a country at war on multiple fronts, including Gaza, the occupied West Bank, East Jerusalem.
I want
Let me go ahead and put this
to say this as clearly as possible. These murders, these attacks, in all fronts do not discourage us. They only strengthen our determination to complete the missions we have taken upon ourselves, also in Gaza, also in Judea and Samaria, and everywhere.
His mission in Gaza continued today. The Al Roya building levelled after displaced people living inside were ordered to evacuate. One of 50 buildings destroyed by the Israeli Air Force in the last 2 days. Part of the military's plan to destroy high-rise buildings in Gaza City that they describe as Hamas vantage points ahead of a ground incursion. You have to go...
Look at all the destruction that they've done. Just look at this destruction. And all this is like quote-unquote Hamas' fault. You're looking back at October 7, as Israel gives this allure that you can't infiltrate their walls, that they shouldn't be infiltrated by Hamas. How did Hamas come into their territory, kidnap the hostages, and kill all those people? Shouldn't have even happened. It's almost like Israel let them come in. Did you might ever think that? Did you might ever think that maybe Israel might have just let their Hamas to come in just to justify doing this stuff? When you look at this every day, this screaming and bombing every day. And the crazy thing about it, they have weaponry that they could just bomb beneath the surface level. They don't even have to. They don't have to even fire above ground. They have missiles that can specify them firing underneath, but they don't. You know why they don't use it? Because they just want to kill the Palestinians too. They look at them, all of them, as a jihadist.
Go inside much smaller buildings, though, to see what's really being destroyed here. Despite being in the evacuation zone, Ahmed al-Dafi and his 3 brothers stayed here. 2 of their bodies have been recovered from the rubble. They can't reach the last one.
I don't know. Suddenly fire fell on us while we were sleeping, and now I'm looking for my brothers, Mohammed, Harith, Hadhaifa.
Their mother Sosan surveys what Israel's Minister of Defense described today as a mighty hurricane.
And yet, Israel will call them jihadists. Call these people terrorists. These are just your regular average people that have families. And all their families are dying right now in this fruitless war.
One made up of individual wind streams. The final breath of the more than 60 Gazans who, according to health officials, were killed today.
And all genocide experts have labeled this a genocide. That lets you know exactly what we're dealing with. The massive famine starving, the burning of Rafah, the indiscriminately bombings, the no care in the world for shooting civilians. A lot of genocide experts have labeled this a genocide. So that just lets you know exactly where we're at with not this quote unquote war. This is no war. This is just a one-sided, like, indiscriminate killing. So anyways, I want to thank everyone for joining the stream today. I hope you enjoyed today's stream. I will be back tomorrow. I will try to shoot for 8 o'clock. If not, latest is going to be 10 o'clock as usual. So I'll try to go a little bit early. I'm floating around with different times, stuff like that. And I just want to thank everyone for joining today's stream. Tomorrow we got a lot to react to. We're gonna react to the Tucker Carlson versus Piers Morgan. We're gonna react to Ben Shapiro on the Breakfast Club, and we're gonna give an update on what's going on with the Venezuela situation and Trump's war on cartel. And then we're gonna talk about the Trump's impending takeover of Chicago, the quell crime, and also have ICE going and go commit the raids to get the illegal aliens out of Chicago, which I applaud that. But anyways, we are out of here right now, everyone. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll give you some pizza, give you something to eat, and I want to thank you for joining the stream. Make sure you like the video, share it. Clips will be out soon. And yeah, I want to thank you for joining today's stream. Have a good rest of your night, everyone.